Ed.
How does Charlie become an integral
Good morning and welcome to AM News Network presents The Morning Report with Rachel Baird and Ed Peruta. We're transmitting live from our American News Media Studio Center in Harwinton, Connecticut. We're here Monday through Thursdays, or we try to be, from 7 to 7:30 a.m. And of course, there's our summary judgment show that airs on Saturdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that we've been doing for a little over 2 years now. We took a hiatus last summer. And retired Lieutenant Colonel Matt Tiska joins us on that show. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning. Today is June 21st, 2016, and I think we have something to talk about this morning.
It looks like you're prepared to talk about something. I don't have any idea what it is, but it looks like some sort of paper you've drawn up that you're going to read.
Two.
Okay.
But I read an article this morning, and it's an article by Mike Lawlor. Now, obviously, he's a who's who in Connecticut, and he got into the news because of who he is. So, it says, my job requires that I think constantly about how to reduce crime through effective public policy.
Now, just for background, he's the Undersecretary of Criminal Justice and Policy, or some kind of title like that, in the Department of Administrative Services under Ken Barnes, who is under Governor Malloy.
Right. My week was consumed with discussions about how to further refine Connecticut's laws on access to guns, how to promote information sharing within law enforcement community and collaboration among local, state, and federal authorities to identify potential terrorists, and how to address very real concerns about potential anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim hate crimes. But I cannot help but think of the men whose sexual orientation was suddenly revealed to the world when the Pulse nightclub, okay, their safe haven, and then it went on.
No, let me read that.
No, it's not the whole article.
No, I want to read that last thing because you got to get that right, because I want to comment on that. But I cannot help but think of the men whose sexual orientation was suddenly revealed to the world when the Pulse nightclub, their safe haven, was in the news. We'll just end it with that. I can't believe you cut it off at
I didn't cut it out for that.
That's.
Here's what the article says,
Okay.
just so you can understand.
I understand. I read the article this morning. What do you mean, just so I can understand?
So
I understand it.
Okay. I'm hearing him say about his week was consumed with firearms. That's basically what I got out of the article.
Yeah, I have it here, so I'm going to look at what I have.
Please do.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have something that I prepared yesterday, and I would like to read, and this is going to become part of a Peruta off the cuff. But I think that I can do a Peruta off the cuff right here, right now, June 21st.
But what I don't understand about this, but I cannot help but think of the men whose sexual orientation was suddenly revealed to the world. Well, what does that mean? That these men should be ashamed? Is there something that those men are ashamed of or should be ashamed of? Or
read the rest of the article.
Well, you didn't send it to me.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I read the whole article. What he was talking about is when the media cameras came to the Pulse nightclub.
Right.
And people were running out of the Pulse nightclub.
Right.
They were covering their faces with their shirts. They were covering their faces with their hands as if they didn't want to be seen as a person in a gay nightclub, and they're gay.
Well, that's his interpretation, but you know, as a spot news photographer, in fact, I actually read an email to somebody, from somebody to you, because we didn't talk about this yesterday, but you responded to a motor vehicle accident in Rocky Hill. I believe it was Sunday morning, right?
Right.
And the footage you took actually captured the passenger halfway out of the car. The car was wrapped around a tree, and you captured the passenger halfway out the car, dead. And then you also captured the driver being taken away in the stretcher, and he later died. And you at least got one email saying that that wasn't appropriate to air. And I saw footage later on where the firemen or the EMS had covered up the scene so people couldn't see that and couldn't photograph it. And you see people going into courthouses, shielding their faces. You see, even when they do these reality shows, they have people in the background and they fuzz their face out. So why he has that interpretation of these people leaving the scene, people in a circumstance like that very often don't want to be photographed. They don't want to be videotaped. And why he would take away from that like that, I don't know why he would assume that.
Well, let's address first Lawlor, Orlando, Pulse covering faces.
And
what if they were 18 years old and didn't want their parents to know that they were in the nightclub with false ID?
Or what if they were there and they had told their significant other they were somewhere else?
Exactly. There's a lot of
things.
different reasons. There's a lot of different reasons for covering your face.
And I'd like to add that there were a lot of women at that nightclub too. I mean, they had pictures of them coming out. They had pictures.
Right.
So I don't know. What a strange thing to take away
now
from it.
we'll go to the footage that I put up on YouTube, on Facebook, and I guess a comment that you may have received about it's inappropriate.
Did you see in the news that they had redacted certain sections from what the shooter had said?
Right.
And he's worried about anti-Muslim things when the basis of the shooting, if you read the redacted parts of the transcript that they tried to hide, was the complete opposite.
Loyalty to ISIS.
Yeah,
Right, now, but here's where it comes down to. You discussed reality TV. You had used reality TV. Here's what I'm saying. The police officers, the firemen, the EMS go to scenes and they see things that the general public does not see on a regular basis. Horrible things they see on a regular basis. There are evil aspects of being human. There are tragic aspects of being human. And to live in a censored life of, it can't happen to me, it won't happen to me, that, what I showed on TV, and I did show, I believe it could have been the passenger, hanging out of the car, deader than a doornail, in a car that you can't even recognize the make, model, or year, okay? What part of red lights, siren, and police officer don't you understand?
And for people who say, well, like you say, that can't happen to me, I got to tell you, if you were on the road on a Sunday morning at around 5:30 in Rocky Hill, minding your own business, maybe driving up to Dunkin' Donuts to get a cup of coffee, it could have been you if that car had hit you. That could be you, even if you don't run from the police.
Right. Now.
Wait, I got to get this. Now, Attorney Baird. Oh, okay. Can I? That was a business call. It's quite early in the morning. I mean, the only reason I answered the call, now let me tell you, for those people who think the courthouses only function at normal business hours, that was a call from a federal courthouse about a conference call later today. That's why I answered it, because it was from a federal courthouse.
Okay.
And so somebody in the federal government is at work at 7:11 in the morning.
Okay.
I'm impressed. Okay,
So
go ahead.
let's do it again. There's a body hanging out of a car in a rural community in Connecticut, and the firemen and the policemen and the EMS people and the people that live in the neighborhood who may have gotten to the car before anybody when they heard it, witnessed this. That is life. That is a consequence. That is, to every action, there's a reaction. That's the reaction to an action. Now, you want to run from police? Run from them. You can have bad things happen when that happens. Now, I believe that there's reality.
What did Master Control say?
He said you can have good things happen too.
You could have good things
You could
happen.
have good
You could
things
completely
happen,
get
too.
away and not
You
get
could-
caught.
that's right.
Right.
And yesterday I
It's all a
sat
risk.
down. Yesterday I sat down because there was supposed to be a gathering for dinner by Fusion Network to discuss, I guess, firearms, Sandy Hook, whatever. Okay? So I sat down yesterday in Master Control, got on the computer, and I said, okay, March 6, 1968, this is Peruta off the cuff set. March,
Yeah, we got to line it up.
gotta line it up. Master Control will tell me when. Okay. This is Ed Peruta off the cuff, June 21st, 2016. And this is another one of my short episodes. March 6, 1998, there was a shooting at the Connecticut Lottery Center. 4 people were killed. 4 unarmed people were killed. On April 20th, 1999, at Columbine High School in Colorado, I believe 13 individuals were killed. That was 13 unarmed individuals. On April 16, 2007, 32 people, 32 unarmed people were killed at the Virginia Tech shooting, in the Virginia Tech shooting. July 23rd, 2007, there was a home invasion at the home of Dr. William Pettit. 3 unarmed people were killed. On August 3rd, 2010, there was a shooting at Hartford Beer Distributors. 8 unarmed people were killed. On July 20th, 2012, there was a theater shooting in Aurora, Colorado. 12 unarmed people were killed. On December 14th, 2012, in Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, 26 unarmed people were killed. On May 23rd, 2014, at the University of California, Santa Barbara in Isla Vista, California, 6 unarmed people were killed. On June 17th, 2015, at a church in South Carolina, 9 unarmed people were killed. On December 2nd, 2015, a mass shooting at a social service facility in San Bernardino, California, 14 unarmed people were killed. On June 12th, 2016, at a nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, 49 unarmed people were killed. My position on these incidents and the immediate future. In each of these shocking, senseless acts of extreme violence, every unarmed victim left their home with the expectation of returning to their friends and family members without incident. In each of these shocking acts of violence, one or more armed individuals chose the location and entered a place where unarmed, defenseless individuals could be approached and attacked without any means to defend themselves. I'm positive that in each of these acts of violence, the victims had no fear that evil would find them and end their lives at that time. I am also sure that each of the 150 plus unarmed deceased victims, their family members and friends would have gladly respected and welcomed anyone who carried the means to defend them by confronting and repelling the attackers, including law-abiding individuals who choose to regularly carry firearms for self-defense of themselves and others. The victims referenced in this presentation were not known members of a criminal element where turf wars tend to be the root of shootings. Most, if not all, of the victims referenced were normal, innocent victims of the evil that exists in every city, town, state, and nation known to man. My name is Ed Peruta. This is Off the Cuff, and I carry a firearm for self-defense. I sat and had an opportunity to think about what I would say if I sat at a table with the parents of Newtown, with the parents of Aurora, Colorado, with the parents of the people that were friends, family, and acquaintances of the people in Orlando, Florida. And I would ask them one question. If we could turn back the hands of time, and you could have a group of individuals who lawful, honest, trained individuals who carried firearms in the mix to defend you or your loved ones against the person who walks in the door to do harm, would you object? Would you object today to having those people in the building then? I cannot, in my wildest imagination, believe that the parents of Newtown would not welcome someone in that building, in the office, by the front door, that the minute that individual came through the front door with a firearm to do harm in that building, shot the shit out of him. Now, Donald Trump can change his tune. The NRA can say what they want to say. There are many people who walk into places that serve alcohol that don't drink. I'm one of them. So what I'm saying to you is, I've given my off the cuff. That is my opinion, is that in every single one of these incidents, those victims woke up in the morning expecting to go to sleep that night and wake up the next day and continue their life, and had absolutely no inkling that this was going to happen to them. Would they have welcomed someone like me carrying a firearm to return fire to the person who was shooting? I don't know. But my gut tells me they would trade anything to get their loved ones back. Okay, I'm done.
Well, I mean, well said. I don't know what response there really is to that. Well said.
I don't know. I don't know. I am concerned that we can't make our case of self-defense to the executive branch of government. It appears that we can't make our case for self-defense to the legislative branch of government, and it appears that we can't make our case to the judicial branch of government. The only thing that I have that I know is on my side is the Constitution. That's all I have. That's my last line of defense. I hold in my hands.
But it's not the last line, because what if the Constitution went away? Are you saying, I mean, this goes back to our discussion from yesterday, even without a Constitution, from what you said yesterday, you hold dear your right to defend your own life, whether there's a Constitution or not.
I will rephrase. The last government document or last government piece that protects me It's not the executive branch. It's not the legislative branch. It's not the judicial branch. It's the founding fathers' intent to give me the right to bear arms in defense of myself and my country.
In listening to what you said, your argument and the issue we're talking about can be boiled down to two things, two choices that I see. We need to do away with evil, or we need to protect ourselves from evil.
Oh, we ain't doing away with it.
We have two options. Do away with evil or protect ourselves from evil. Now, the way I see it, from Mike Lawlor's statements, he is taking the position that he is capable, and Governor Malloy is capable, and the government is capable from doing away with evil. And because they can do away with evil, the citizens will not need to protect themselves because we can rely on the government to get rid of evil. The problem is our country wasn't built on that premise. Our country was built on the premise of there is evil in the world and we have to deal with it. But we are having a shift in our country from that point of view to the point of view of the government is trying to convince us that we don't need to protect ourselves because they can handle the evil. So that's a choice we're going to have to make. Are we going to rely on our government to do away with evil so that we can just go about our pleasant lives and go to clubs and go to school and go to work and not ever have to worry about evil, therefore we don't have to protect ourselves? I'm wondering, the individuals that go in and perform these acts of shooting up clubs or shooting at schools, would they support the position of Governor Malloy and Mike Lawlor to make guns less accessible to law-abiding people? I think they would. I think the shooter of Sandy Hook, if he was able to think clearly and was alive, would say to Mike Lawlor, "Thank you, Mike Lawlor. You made my job a lot easier. Please continue to limit the accessibility of guns to law-abiding people, because I'm not law-abiding. Obviously, I'm not if I'm going to shoot and kill all these people. And so I don't care what laws you make, I'm not going to go by them. And that'll make me easier to shoot law-abiding people because they're going to go by your laws." I believe that people who perform these acts are totally in line and would support Mike Lawlor. Please, Mr. Lawlor, continue to convince the citizens of Connecticut that the government will protect them and they don't need to protect themselves, because that makes them shooting ducks. It's like shooting ducks to me. Okay, so Mr. Lawlor, you are a friend of the shooter at Newtown. You are a friend of the shooter in Orlando. You are a friend of each and every one of these people who has committed mass murder, and you keep it up. You keep up your goal of denying firearms to law-abiding people so that you can make it easier for these people to go into the next elementary school and kill lots of people, because, Mr. Lawlor, I think that's what you want. I think that you love it when these things happen, because then it furthers your agenda of becoming higher and higher on the coattails of Governor Malloy to make it to D.C. one day. And look at Chris Murphy, what this shooting in Orlando's done for him. Oh my God, if we could have 5 more mass shootings, maybe Chris Murphy could be running for president someday. He could only hope.
Or to be the Speaker of the House if the control of the House changes.
So they want to take guns away from law-abiding people so that more of these mass murders will occur so that they can rise higher in their political ambitions. And they do not care one thing about children who are dead at Sandy Hook. They do not care about those people that died in Orlando. In fact, they want it to happen because it's only going to help their careers.
Moves their agenda
and
forward.
what they have done only confirms that. They are disgusting human beings that want to see innocent people in America die so they can further their political careers.
Well, I had to tell you, my mind's all over the place sometimes. I want to say it was either on a TV sitcom, movie, whatever. Some poor bastard walked into a bar to hold it up, but it was the bar like 1 block away from the police station, and everybody in there was an off-duty policeman. And the guy came in with his one gun, and then all of a sudden, 60 guns are pointing at him.
What, was that a recent story?
No, it was a while ago.
Well, something happened in France recently at a McDonald's in France. I think it may have been in Paris. Some guy walked in to hold up the McDonald's, and I think there were 11 or 12 like SEAL type, whatever their equivalent is over there, SEAL type, highly trained individuals who just, popped up right away. And that guy did not kill anybody at McDonald's. He did not get any money from McDonald's, certainly. So I got to say, it's a shame. Mike Lawlor, it's a shame that these people were there, because if this man would have shot up and killed everybody at McDonald's, then Mike Lawlor could have had something else, to be consumed with and talk about. So every time somebody walks in to kill people, and there are people there to defend themselves and stop that, it's one less opportunity for people like Chris Murphy or Mike Lawlor to further their careers, and they absolutely hate it when law-abiding people are able to defend themselves, because that does not further their agenda. Disgusting.
Amazing.
Okay, we're going to wind it up. I don't know what else to say after that. Because it's a revelation to me. I see it. This Orlando shooting, I see it clearly. They must have little strategy books on what to do when these things happen.
Oh, no, it is the event that moves your agenda forward. Like blood and guts Patton. Some people say, I don't care how many people I lose on the beach, I've got to get to Paris.
Yep.
And it's just collateral damage on the beach. This is the cost of taking the beach.
Yep.
And Orlando and Aurora and San Bernardino and the lottery shooting in Sandy Hook are just collateral damage to get where we want to go.
Yep.
We'll put on our smiley faces. We'll attend the funerals. We'll hug the victims. We'll give them our condolences. We'll tell them we'll give you anything you need. But it is to advance the agenda. So, having said that,
It's sad. We'll see you tomorrow.
see you tomorrow.